Interdict in the Cape Town High Court against the swearing-in of cabinet ministers following President Jacob Zuma's cabinet reshuffle early this morning. Now, the swearing-in is scheduled to take place in an hour's time, or just under 30 minutes. And our reporter, Mzwandile Mbeje, is, of course, at the presidential guesthouse in Pretoria. He joins us now for an update. Mzwandile, good afternoon to you. We're still awaiting the decision from the High Court in Cape Town, but does it look like preparations are already getting underway for the swearing-in at 6?
Alicia, as I speak to you now, it's all systems go. Just right to my right, that's where the credential house is, where the swearing ceremony will take place. There is nothing that suggests that this swearing-in ceremony will not go ahead. Well, unless the court decides otherwise. You do know that the president make changes, and in terms of removing people and including new ones and moving others sideways, it was a total of 20 people. But it's not all those people who will be sworn in, because you know that others are already serving ministers and deputy ministers. So it's only 8 people who will be sworn in. It's 2 ministers and 6 deputy ministers.
Mzwandile, look, speaking to people that, of course, will be attending this swearing-in ceremony, what are their views about the cabinet reshuffle? And just people that have given their views to you about this gathering tonight, what are their feelings?
At this stage, Alicia, we haven't been able to communicate with a large number of people who hold particular views with regards to this event that is taking place today. Because when we arrived here, we tried to look for the sign of the new ministers, but I assume they are either at a different house or they haven't arrived. So we haven't really been able. So where we're located is just the journalists and the staff here. So we're still just discussing amongst ourselves, so we haven't been able to get the views of other people, Alicia.
Mzwandile, who's doing the swearing-in, if I may ask? Is the president going to be part of the proceedings?
Traditionally, the swearing-in is done by a High Court judge. We expect a High Court judge to be here. Indeed, the president is expected to also officiate at this ceremony. But you know that earlier he was in the Eastern Cape, so I assume he is on his way to make sure that he is here in time for the swearing-in ceremony. You know that the swearing-in ceremony is supposed to start at 6 o'clock. And as I said to you, the systems looks like they're ready to go, because when we got there, so they were cleaning, they were putting the chairs in the right way, and yeah, you can see that they're ready to go.
Mzwandile, so what happens after the swearing-in ceremony, should it take place at 6 p.m. this evening?
Indeed, once that happens, it means you now have those new 8 people as full members of the National Executive. You know that the National Executive consists of the ministers and deputy ministers. So once they then go through that process, so then they'll join the rest of their other cabinet colleagues. Those that were also changed yesterday, and they would not necessarily be sworn in, as I indicated, because they have already been sworn in. You remember when they were appointed way back in 2014, so there's no need for them to be sworn in. So it's a question of aligning work. It's a question of induction and sharing notes, experiences, especially for those who would be coming in cabinet or in the executive for the first time. So it's a situation where people come to work and then they meet their colleagues, they talk about several things, so they learn from each other, they share those experiences, and they get on with the work of the nation.
Mzwandile, thank you so much for that update. And of course, SABC News will bring you that swearing-in ceremony live should it proceed. As you know, we're also still waiting for an urgent court interdict that was tabled by the DA at the Cape Town High Court. So whatever happens there is going to be dependent on whether or not the swearing-in ceremony actually takes place in just under half an hour. Well, that's where I leave it, and that is a conclusion of the day's top news. We'll still have more rolling updates on our later bulletins, and of course the focus today is mainly around the cabinet reshuffle, where we've brought you reactions from every part of the country and the world. And I'll vacate the seat to leave you with inspirational stories on Bopilong. I'm Anisha Jali. I'll be on your screens tomorrow morning live at 10 a.m. Until then, keep it locked to SABC News. Goodbye.